This fight between the great Tatsumi and Crybaby Sakura changed my life. And at the end of the video, you will truly understand what a real fight is. I hope you enjoy this project I've worked on. We see Tamba having a glass of whiskey at a high-class bar in Tokyo, waiting for a certain guest to arrive. And when that fighter does appear, he's dressed rather well with a nice white suit jacket. And when meeting Tamba, there's a moment of silence and tension. The guest was taking his time to take off his glasses until he was ready to speak, until eventually asking Tamba, why is he here? And Tamba asking him about an incident he was involved in 19 years ago as a pro wrestler. The question triggering the pro wrestler to break his chopsticks and asking Tamba if he wanted to die for asking such a sensitive question. Tamba then responded by telling him this question can only be answered by the person believed to be stronger than the great Tatsumi. Now cut the BS. The pro wrestler tells him he got some courage, and the statement was followed by a moment of tension that leads to the pro wrestler recollecting that memory from 19 years ago and telling Tamba he remembers that day being hot, and while working out like any normal day, this well-built man walked into the gym carrying a brown bag, and he kept walking until he was right next to the boxing ring. And when asked why was he there from a wrestler, the man says to the wrestler that he's there to fight the strongest his gym has to offer. The reaction to the statement wasn't taken seriously at first from the wrestlers, but the man repeats himself because he was very clear. But then a wrestler asked him if he was a dojo smasher, and the man boldly replying yes before being warned he will get hurt. And the man being completely fine with this, and after being asked who he was, he told him his name was Shozen Matsuo, and he practices classic karate, and the wrestler was telling him if he dies, they are not responsible, only for Matsuo to actually pull out a written agreement holding no one responsible for his well-being. The wrestler understands Matsuo was indeed serious. When he asks who was the strongest guy in the gym was, with the wrestler that's already in the ring agreeing to fight Matsuo was no other than the present wrestler telling this story, Date. And with Matsuo being excited to fight Date, the other wrestler started yelling at Matsuo that Date is the strongest wrestler there. After Matsuo gets in the ring, he begins to change and is a rather neat and organized man. And after he was done changing, he suggested that Date should use the restroom before fighting him. Matsuo does apologize for delaying the fight as long as he has, and Date asks if he wants to start. And the boldness Matsuo was exuding compelled the spectating wrestler to ask him if this was his first time fighting a wrestler. And with Matsuo replying, "Does that even matter?" But before they started fighting, Matsuo asked Date if there's any courtesy rules they need to go over before fighting. And Date tells Matsuo it's full contact and they will win by either knockout or submission. And right after this, the fight begins. And Matsuo, having no concern the danger Date poses, casually walks up to him with a smirk and it kicks him directly in his solar plexus. This kick was so intense, it caused Date to think about all the past experiences in combat, trying to remember a blow being this powerful. As he flies across the room, the other thing that came to his mind when Matsuo blitzed him was, this guy must really love fighting. Date desperately tries to fight back, but unfortunately for him, simply moving Matsuo was impossible. Matsuo easily breaking out of Date's experienced hold, and using his left knee, he drives it into the nose of Date. And while Date is struggling to recover, he doesn't have any chance of blocking or dodging Matsuo's left straight. Date explains how he never felt this much pain before, and the first kick alone was bad enough. And on top of the rest of the blows, Date was finished. And he finds the situation pitifully funny, praying this one-sided fight ends as quickly as possible. Matsuo puts Date in his own style armbar and begins to break his arm, while Date thinks about how he said he was going to break Matsuo. Instead, the opposite happened. And after this massacre concluded, Matsuo simply exited the ring said it was a nice workout, grabbed his things, and ran away from the gym. And that being the incident 19 years ago. Date began to pour a full glass of Hennessy and gulps it down to the shock of the bartender and civilians. He looks at Tamba with a smirk, but Tamba has no reaction to Date. And Date then lights a match to smoke an entire cigarette in one inhale. This getting Tamba's attention. He begins to explain it's not always about the size or speed to win. Although, when it comes to Matsuo, you can throw a guy twice his size, or a guy that's stronger. These slight advantages does nothing to help them against Matsuo. Even Date himself, who had pride in his strength, had no choice but to admit his inferiority to Matsuo, and compares him to a big rock that fell into the river. And over a long period of time, nature sculpted it into a dense glazed rock. Tamba states, Date is a real poet, with Date responding that there's only one person he sees beating Shozen Matsuo, and that's the great Tatsumi. When we see Tatsumi, it's in a lavish penthouse where we see him looking out the window in a stylish, sleek outfit with his apprentice, Kajiwara, standing behind him, a bit nervous. Tatsumi asks Kajiwara if he wants to fight for real. Kajiwara, knowing his master knew exactly what a real fight was, he boldly accepts Master Tatsumi's challenge. And Tatsumi goes on to explain truly what a real fight is, to paint a vivid picture in Kajiwara's head of what real combat is. Knowing it's causing Kajiwara to second guess his decision, he turns around smiling, asking again if he really wants that, and walks up to Kajiwara with his right hand out towards his face, causing Kajiwara to get really nervous. Tatsumi, in retaliation to his cowardness, slaps him, and Tatsumi gets the reaction he wanted out of Kajiwara, and now Kajiwara wants to hand wrestle. And as soon as they make contact, Tatsumi's grip was like a viper, instantly bringing Kajiwara to his knees, seething in pain, and it was so easy for Tatsumi to cripple his protege. He asks him, "What have you been doing?" and easily uses his wrist alone to lift back up Kajiwara, only to crush his groin, and causes Kajiwara to pass out from the pain, and calling him, and I quote, "a worthless piece of shit." When the medics came, Tatsumi said to Hawabi, he only crushed one of his balls. He should recover soon enough to go on a date, with Hawabi replying, "What happened here to cause this?" Tatsumi then said, "It was a minor disagreement," and he broke into his place, wanting to take all his money and girl. He doesn't know why. And so have bloodlust towards him, and liking this even more are the fans cheering and hoping for carnage. And while they cheer and shout, Sakura is about to hear everything they are saying to him and things in general. And top of that, Sakura is able to hear the sounds of his opponent making with just his shoes touching the canvas. And not only that, he tells his positioning accurately and determines his weight all from the sound of him stepping forward once. And furthermore, able to determine how tall he is by his breathing rhythm and the amount of pressure he puts on the mat with his feet tells him his weight and fighting style. All this information perplexes Sakura's opponent and causes him to even question if he's blind. And on top of that, this guy seems even Sakura's opponent sweats tells Sakura exactly what his heritage is and where he came from. I bet Sakura can even tell every meal that man ate for a month by smelling his breath. It's unbelievable, truly. And after this, he actually tells his opponent he's an excellent fighter, even when their skill difference is night and day. Being disappointed that his opponent is far too slow to Crybaby Sakura assistant Walker attempting to kill a mosquito, only to miss and force the mosquito to fly away in Sakura's index finger and thumb, killing it instantly, and then tasting the blood from the mosquito, only to then ask his assistant if he's been drinking that cheap whiskey again, with Walker explaining he was at a friend's party and got carried away, and is shocked Crybaby Sakura can achieve such a feat, with Sakura telling Walker blood can tell him a lot of things about a man, his physical condition, or lifestyle choices. And goes on to say that normal people are lazy because they rely on their sight too much, allowing their other senses to dull, and that's why he can see more than the average person. Explaining to Walker, he and normal people aren't serious about seeing, and how normal people don't appreciate things, and they are satisfied with what they see alone. Even when their other senses tell them things, their brain doesn't process the information fully, and that keeps them detached from nature. As he shows the painting he's been working on this entire time, and that painting being a portrait of the great Tatsumi, with only his arms and legs being unfinished in the painting, with Walker being very impressed with his painting and thinking everything Sakura is telling him must be true, because this painting is the only proof he needs, with Sakura asking him if an incomplete painting can still be beautiful, and tells him he doesn't need to see the paint because he can get all his information from his other senses. When it comes to Tatsumi, the kind of hair products he uses tells him his hair volume and style. The sound of his voice tells him the shape of his face and how much muscles in his throat. His lung power, furthermore, and how many seconds he can breathe can tell him his muscle density and the volume around his breast, and if the muscle is abnormal and the quality of it. And from the sound where his voice travels tells him his height and the changes of his voice whenever he moves. And lastly, the scratch sound of his seat tells him his weight. And to paint, all he has to do is to focus on the canvas and the rest will come. Walker is in complete disbelief of Sakura's ability to be this accurate or being able to pick the right colors, telling him he must have superpowers, with Sakura telling him, whoa now, I don't believe in magic or superpowers. He simply smells the titanium dioxide, and that's white. The cobalt aluminum is blue. Cadmium sulfide is yellow. Black being a carbon smell. Chrome oxide smell is green. And chrome lead smell being chrome vermilion. They're all chemicals, so he can easily perceive all the colors from the different smells of the chemicals. And he can even adjust the concentration by feeling with a brush, and the sound and the feeling when the paint touches the canvas. As Sakura reaches for a glass filled with a specific drink, he tells Walker that he will color and finish Makoto Tatsumi exactly how he pictures him in his mind, as he gulps down everything in the glass, prompting Walker to ask him, his boss, what has he been drinking? With Sakura telling him it's a honey sorghum cocktail because he needs 20 times the calories an average man needs. We then see that Sakura has completed the painting, and all he needs is Tatsumi's arms and legs. With that being incomplete, this is all he can show of Tatsumi's body until he fights him tomorrow night. With Walker's reaction being complete and utter shock, this portrait was drawn by a blind man, and no one would think that it was the reality. Sakura and Tatsumi. And as he not moving, and him telling him it's his time now. And as the coach grabs Tatsumi and tries to strike him, but Tatsumi swiftly grabs his crotch and squeezes as hard as he could, causing the wrestling coach to be in agonizing he would come back for her. But day after day, she sat there, waiting, withering away slowly. And with Sakura staying by her side, he noticed his mother's current state to be terrible and wanted to make her happy, while completely disregarding his pain and his vision being lost as he starts to flip around, starting to cheer his mom up, eventually getting a laugh out of her, and now dedicating his life to making his mom happy by working out in front of her and dancing and telling himself losing his sight wasn't too bad, and how he adapted quickly and wanted to get stronger every day to protect and make his mom happy. Refusing to show any sadness, he just kept working out in front of the door that never opened. That became his training gym. And after many years, his mother finally died and her soul passed on, and him finally saying to himself, he's now complete. But even though he's reached incredible strength, he lost his mom in the process. And the worst part was, he couldn't even shed a tear for his mom. Back to the present, we see Tatsumi trying to crawl away and thinking to himself, what am I even doing? Why is the crowd cheering? I'm so dizzy. I can't tell if it's dark or light in here anymore. Wait, I'm in a ring. I'm fighting someone. Only to realize baby Sakura is right behind him, grabbing his arms and pulling them over his face, with Sakura telling Tatsumi he must feel the same pain he went through, the pain of waiting, as he crushed Tatsumi's left ankle and asking him how was the feeling. As Tatsumi screams in pain, only to then crush his right knee as Tatsumi's in continually screaming for his life. Sakura grabs his teeth and rips him out the whole front row, telling and asking Tatsumi if he expected that. While Tatsumi screams in pain, Sakura then states that a human being hates the process of waiting the most, because if a person is getting great pains in random intervals, you become terrified when the next hit will come. It's truly agonizing. As Tatsumi pisses himself and panting in pain, Sakura asks him what should he break next, with Tatsumi screaming, "You win! Just let me go! I can't take it anymore!" With Sakura in the audience in shock from the carnage and desperate plea for Tatsumi's survival, Sakura then leans down and tells Tatsumi if he wants to end it, he needs to say it again loudly, because this was a clear defeat. Sakura then picks a strand of Tatsumi's hair and tells him when he pulls it, he needs to scream, "I give up. I'm defeated." With Sakura counting down from 3, when he eventually pulls his hair, Tatsumi is about to admit defeat before Sakura interrupts him, telling him to never fucking give up, and telling Tatsumi to listen closely, because only God can give him the gift of victory, and he is not God. As he walks away and lays on the mat to give Tatsumi another chance at victory, telling him he has only 10 seconds to win. He won't do anything to defend himself, and telling Tatsumi to do his best and to not piss himself like last time, and telling him to hurry up. Tatsumi's hair begins to stand up as his adrenaline is at his max, as he puts all his energy into thrusting himself forward, and right before Tatsumi is able to grab Sakura's throat, Sakura grabs Tatsumi's face and tells him he can read him so well, even without eyes. He's way too honest, only for Sakura to nearly snap Tatsumi's back with his right hand alone. And with Tatsumi nearly passing out, and the crowd terrified for Tatsumi as they can only watch and wait for what happens next. Sakura even tells Tatsumi this is his overwhelming victory, and asking if he can hear him. And he goes on to say, "I took the past, present, and future from you, Tatsumi. I wasn't satisfied with the victory given to me. I took it by force, by stealing your whole life," as he proclaims, "I am delighted now." But then the crowd noticed something Tatsumi is doing. Tatsumi is telling Sakura to kiss his ass, "You fucking freak," and flicks him off and then says, "You stole my future? Don't make me laugh. You haven't taken shit from me, and this fight will be over when I'm the victor, and not a second before." With the crowd and Sakura being speechless, he goes on to tell Sakura that his next move will be his last. This pissing off Sakura, he lunges towards Tatsumi with bloodlust, only for Tatsumi to use his dislocated left arm to choke out Sakura. Sakura clearly being dumbfounded that Tatsumi was able to pull this off, along with the shock from the crowd was seeing Tatsumi use his broken arm to choke out Sakura. With the pain from using his broken arm as leverage not stopping Tatsumi, he begins to tell Sakura, "When you started breaking my bones, I bet that's what you were thinking. It's about how this fight was going to end, huh? Something deep and perfect, a coup de grace to satisfy yourself for completing another masterpiece," and telling him that he should have accepted the victory that was given to him. And since then, he got drunk off of it. He got drunk off his ambition, and it distracted him, allowing himself to use the one good limb he has left to choke him out, and telling him he thought he took everything from him, but this is his scenario now, and he took his victory for granted, and now he will steal it. Tightening his grip while Sakura slowly loses his grip on his hair, Sakura began to piss himself, and we see inside Sakura's mind, after passing out, there's a door in front of him, and he knows this door very well, because this is the door that he trained in front of for decades, for him and his mom. As he sees this door, every time he gets choked out or a clean hit landing, but all these instances, the door would never open. But thinking about Makoto Tatsumi, he remembered the excellent fight he had with him, and the spiritual connection they showed. As he snaps his fingers, the door finally opens, and as he walks through this door brimming with light, he slowly transforms back into a kid and seeing all the toys he's had, and he's also seeing his mother, who is this time in the afterlife, is very happy. And having that angelic smile Sakura remembers, and Sakura's mom telling him this is his room, filled with all the things he missed out on, while taking care of her, and he can't stay there forever. With her now, they can be happy together, and telling him the sad days are over now. And with Sakura trying to hold back his tears, his mother tells him to not hold it in anymore, to let it all out as much as you want. And we see in the present, the audience throwing all their money and coins into the ring, celebrating the immaculate fight they witnessed. And after Tatsumi pulls himself up over the ropes, he doesn't have an ounce of hate towards Sakura and smiles at him. Sakura, after this, the crowd continues their cheering, and Walker even saying it was a magnificent fight with a perfect ending. And now Sakura tells Tatsumi that the door opened. With Tatsumi confused what he means, Sakura tells him the door finally opened. That never opened, finally opened. And how nobody could open this door, not even himself. But you, Makoto Tatsumi, opened that door. And inside that door, it was a very bright room. And inside that room, only to not be able to complete the sentence, and Tatsumi asking him if someone important was in that room, with Sakura telling him yes, he saw his mama there, and Tatsumi asking him what did she say to him, with Sakura replying she told him not to hold back the tears anymore, and how he can cry as much as he wants now, with Tatsumi telling him, I bet you was happy hearing that, and for Sakura to reply he can't cry, but he did cry inside the room with his mama while they were hugging, and how he cried until he couldn't anymore. And then Tatsumi tells him, hey look Sakura, you're crying. As we see Crybaby Sakura having a stream of tears running down his face, with Sakura being confused that this is even possible, and says they are so warm and sweet, as he wails even more, and we see the crowd being confused on what's happening in the ring, and that being Sakura flopping around on the ground crying and screaming, with Tatsumi smiling in the corner very happy. For Tatsumi and for Walker being very concerned for Sakura, he tried to go in the ring and stop him, only for Tatsumi to tell him to leave him alone this time, because he's so happy he can't even believe it. He's having the moment of his life right now. After the fight, we see Sakura reflecting on his life and how he was so burdened with protecting his mama for so long, and now he's finally free. And now Sakura cries everywhere he goes, whether it's to the bathroom or the kitchen. All the years of him not crying was built up, and it's now being unleashed uncontrollably, day and night, until one day he wasn't crying anymore, and he decided to visit Tatsumi to give him a very important task. He told Tatsumi he will only say this once, so don't ask any questions. With your hands, I want you to send me to my mama. With Tatsumi telling Sakura, it will be a very touching moment. We then see Tatsumi carrying a tatami and saying it was really hard getting in the USA, but how it was nothing compared to the chance he was given to kill one of the best wrestlers in history. And with him throwing the tatami in the middle of the ring and leaping in the ring, he begins to put the table together, with Walker telling Tatsumi what Sakura told him and Tatsumi will do to him, and is confused why he would kill Sakura if they are friends and has such a beautiful connection in the ring, with Tatsumi telling Walker it's not his decision but this big mama's boy over here, as he kicks Sakura and tells him to say something, and tells Walker even with that amazing body and amazing skills, he's just a little kid that wants his mama. With Sakura then telling Tatsumi, yeah, I want to be with my mom and hug her. With Tatsumi telling Walker, you see, I'm just helping him out here. He wants this, and not me asking this. Walker, if he brought it only to then pull out a full USA flag. Telling Sakura he needs to die with his own flag behind him. And before killing him, and telling him that it will be a quick and painless death, with Sakura only response being, Mama, Mom, Mom, Mom. With Tatsumi telling him he will see his mom in heaven and he will see Walker in hell. Only for Walker to pull a gun out, and right before Tatsumi kills Sakura, he started crying and asking Sakura to please say something before he kills him. With Sakura telling Tatsumi, thank you for your kindness and your warm hands. And shortly after this statement, Tatsumi kills Crybaby Sakura. With Tatsumi and Walker both crying, we then see how the spirit of Crybaby Sakura and finally reunited with his mom. Only for us to see in the present, the current Tatsumi is sleeping, dreaming about his experience with Crybaby Sakura. Whew! I really appreciate you all who made it this far. It was a hell of a story, man, and with so much emotion and pain. I couldn't help but think about this fight since I read it 5 years ago. It only motivated me to do more martial arts like boxing and karate and self-defense. It really did change my perspective on being a man and just defending yourself and just, sticking to your ideals mostly. It changed my life, guys. And thank you again for watching.